Today's talk is titled Leadership in the Parable of the Father and the Two Sons. The parable of the lost son, as often called in Luke 15:11 to 32, has been interpreted in the biblical scholarship discipline using various tools, and the meanings through such interpretations are varied. The three main characters of the parable, the father, the younger son, and the elder son, represent three negative situations: crisis, conflict, and stress, and present three ways of managing them. I will now present how the father managed the three crises. Sometimes crises emerge because of wrong choices. At other times, from our life situations, from our givenness, from society, and due to natural calamities. We experience both individual crises, like loss of a loved one, job and health, and collective crises, like maybe the petrol hike and water scarcity. In the parable, the younger son has a choice: to remain with the father or to part from him. He decides to part, gathering his share of the property. Now there is a crisis in the family because of his deciding so. In the distant country, the younger son has a choice: to remain there or to return to the father. He decides to return to the father, and there emerges a crisis in the family as to whether to welcome him or not. The elder son has a choice: to enter the house or to walk away from the situations. His decision is not given in the text, but still it creates a crisis situation in the family. Thus, crises can be times of great disagreement, confusion, or suffering, and they can be extremely difficult or even dangerous. The father manages these crisis situations in three different ways. As soon as the son asks for his share in the property, the father divides the property and gives it away. He realized that his son was responsible for his decision. He did not spend his time, energy, and other resources refraining him from leaving home, nor did he send servants after him to watch over him. He just let his son go. The leader has to understand that each one has a right to decide, and each one is responsible for his or her decision. Everyone has a reason to justify his or her decision. Then there is no point in curtailing the freedom of the other individual in decision making. On the son's return, the father did not allow his goodness to be affected by his son's badness. His fullness was not affected by seeing his son's empty hands. He met his son where he was and met him with what the son had, the empty hands. This attitude is a result of love and compassion, which the father had in full. In the first instance, he was not affected by his son's spendthrift nature. Secondly, he started proacting. He took time to hear the son speak and did not demote his son. The son's mistake and his wasting of the estate did not make him lesser. Though he was ready to be counted as one of the hired hands, the father did not let him go. In fact, he celebrated the return. Kindness and compassion have not always been considered necessary components of leadership. The father teaches us that a leader is in no way affected by the behaviors of the other. He or she must be able to stand a level above and see the situation with the eyes of kindness and compassion. For compassion is the quintessence of generativity. It is more than just a mindset, it is love in action. Compassion is a spontaneous, consistent, helpful response to the needs, the pains, and the sufferings of others. Compassion flows from a profound sense of the interconnectedness of all people as children of God. It is central to Christian belief, and it is what the second great commandment is about, that we love our neighbors as ourselves. The father does not fall on the neck of the elder son to receive him home because he thought his elder son was equal to him. He was his father's second self. But the elder son failed to realize that. The elder son felt that it was unfair on the part of his father to welcome the son who had squandered his estate. He was right in doing so because he operated on the principle of having more is equal to being more. Thus, there emerged a crisis of injustice. A leader who operates on principles of fairness inspires better employee performance, loyalty, and retention. It is not enough to pursue justice. A leader also needs to reverse injustices and issue deserved rewards quickly. But the father makes an inclusive approach. He raises his elder son to an equal status by saying, "Everything of mine is yours. All I have is yours." Thus, a Christian leader, when met with a crisis accelerated by his or her subordinates, may imitate the father's model in managing it. This parable from Luke serves as a model of crisis, conflict, stress management for Christian leadership today. It is a model that can be adopted by a parish, an institute, or an organization that is animated by persons, and it also helps us in understanding processes. A leader who manages these two, persons and processes, becomes effective and impactful. The overriding principle that manages both persons and processes is the principle-centered leadership, as Stephen Covey puts it. This approach is an inside-out approach where a leader moves from oneself to the other, just as the characters in the parable are shown in how the father moves from one to the other. When the characters embrace an outside-in approach, they would end up being judgmental, hasty, and self-destructive. Thus, the parable of the father and the two sons, as we read in Luke 15:11 to 32, serves as a model of leadership in Christian circles.